that's just my opinion, you know. Okay, so now I'm going to be super confusing, and we're going to sleeve up baseball cards and talk football because that's what we do. I have some stuff on the NFL draft or on the next NFL draft, but that's just not something. I don't know. I got to do. I have my opinions, but I feel like I need to constantly be reevaluating what's going on with the NFL this year and the draft, just because. I mean, things are always changing. People are always changing. That's just how it is, you know. Sorry, just make sure these are all going the same way. So Jalen Richard, who's been probably the most consistent Raider over the past 4 or 5 years, statistically speaking, fell off the face of the earth. Because think about it. Normally, he's the third down back. He's the receiver. He's good for 2, 3, 400 rushing yards and 2, 3, 4, 500 receiving yards in a season. You know, like that was what him and DeAndre Washington did. And eventually, we let Washington go. Now the reason people haven't noticed. I don't know why people haven't noticed Richard's fall off, and it's not anything to be alarmed about because it just shows that because Josh Jacobs did improve his catching and his receiving abilities, so it's kind of making him more of the complete power back. Because I mean that's how John Gruden's offense works. You have a fullback that can block and sometimes catch, and you have a power back that can just run through a defense, and that's what Jacobs does, and he's pretty good at it. Couple hundred carries a season, a little over 1,000 yards. He's getting better. But the reason why Jalen Richard's numbers going down, it's just this is one of those things that literally no one's probably noticed and will ever talk about. But I noticed it, and I was just like, oh, I want to point this out. It's also because they have a quality backup in Devontae Booker. At first, I didn't really understand why we picked him up. We also had Reddick as well. But after watching how they used Booker, as in, if Jacobs gets 10, 20 carries, Booker will get, 5 or 7. Or between runs and catches, Booker will have 7 to 10. Jacobs will have, 10, 15, 20. It just gives that kind of dynamic because it gives that dynamic of, back in the day, you had Richard, who was the receiving back. You had Washington, who was small but powerful. And then whoever, Latavius Murray. Actually, I don't know if it was Latavius Murray when we had those two. But basically, whoever the other running back was, he's just your standard carry back. But it's showing you, to me, it shows it's a good barometer for like, hey, they're starting to kind of figure out how they want to use their running backs and how this offense is going to go. Because they're not having to rely on one guy to do 30 things. They can now have 3 guys to do 30 things, which makes it an even split, in my opinion. Also, can we I live in Missouri. I'm surrounded by Chiefs fans, and I can't stand them. Most of them don't even watch football, I'm pretty sure. They just read up on who's good and run with that. Can y'all, okay, in my opinion, there's 3 or 4 tight ends in the league. You got your receiving tight ends, which is your Travis Kelce, Jimmy Graham back in the day. You've got what I would dare say all-around tight ends, which are George Kittle. George Kittle's a good one, and Gronk. And then you have your balanced tight ends, which I would say are Darren Waller, right? So everyone talks Gronk, which I mean he's not in his prime, but he's still up there. He was still a dominant force at one point, and unfortunately the team he's on already had a really solid balanced tight end with OJ Howard. Sorry, I forgot his name. But can people start putting more respect on Darren Waller's name? Not only has a dude personally overcome a lot of things, but he's made the transition from wide receiver to tight end pretty well, right? So, his blocking is not anything crazy. He's not going to destroy anyone in run blocking like Kittle does. But he can... His route running is pretty superb. He can match up with most linebackers, and you can line up with most DBs, I should say, and just about any linebacker and outrun them. So, like, that's just something to keep in mind. Excuse me, I gotta go get some top loaders because I got some stuff I want to put in these bad boys, and I just did not grab everything when I started this, so I apologize for having to walk away for a split second. Let's see. I'm kind of like losing my train of thought here because I have all these cards stacked up against the back of my TV. Honestly, I'll probably sleep with the Bennington and the Connor McDavid too, just because, like, I mean, side note, Connor McDavid's just really good at hockey. Like, good enough to a point that, like, I know who he is. And then Bennington's just been a hell of a goalie for the Blues since he's really, I mean, he's really come out of nowhere, I feel like. So, Darren Waller, I just feel like needs more respect on his name, right? He's a good hybrid of Kittle and Kelsey. The thing is, as I say this, I'm not trying to take anything, and this is my biggest issue when I talk to Chiefs fans about this. I'm not taking anything away from Kelsey. Kelsey's an amazing tight end. But he is more of an oversized receiver than, like, true tight end, right? Kittle is your old school tight end. He's going to get in the trenches. He's going to block. He's going to get in there. He's going to push people around. I mean, there's been reports from the 49ers that Kittle will request that, like, hey, we do more run plays because I want to block someone, you know? But Darren Waller needs more respect because not only is he's pretty good at blocking, but he's a matchup nightmare. They move him all over the formation. You know, I think in the Saints game this year alone, he lined up at fullback, tight end, wide receiver. Like, he was in the slot as well, fullback, and then normal tight end position, whether it be tight end 1 or 2 on the edge. Because honestly, one of the Raiders' biggest things is we got Darren Waller, we had Jason Witten this year, who's like a great leader and great someone to have around, and Foster Moreau and Derek Carrier as well, I believe, which are also two. I feel like they could be easily number 1 and number 2 tight ends depending on which teams you look at throughout the league. But I mean, they're quality tight ends. To continue with the offense, Hunter Renfrow did anything crazy this year, but he did enough to be consistent, which is really all you can ask for in the NFL, especially for a guy who got the nickname Third and Renfrow in college at Clemson. So I'm happy with his production. Honestly, I've got quite a bit here to talk about with the Raiders, but I'm going to kind of supersede myself. Hold on, I'm pulling up some stuff on my iPad over here. I'm just looking for an emoji to, like, verify that I did something. Where's the check mark? There she be. Just because I'm not going to fully delete this script. If anything, I'll add to it. Okay, sorry. So the big storyline with the Raiders this year has been their defense. That's been the big thing for the past couple of years. We just got Gus Bradley, who's said who wants to make an aggressive defense. And I guess I'm going to switch my camera to face cam because I'm done kind of with the card stuff. So now we're going to have, like, awkward, weird face cam at me to where you can see my desk, like, back there, and my ceiling fan, and me in my Raiders hat. And, of course, I'm representing Not the Experts, Death Valley State Football, Death Valley Dingoes, established 2014. Which, if you're not familiar with who Not the Expert is, he's a YouTuber, and I'd highly recommend checking him out. Excuse me. But I'm just going to go back a little bit because I feel like I'm, like, right inside my own face. But so with the Raiders, right? So their defense has been something, mainly their linebacking core, that has been lacking, and that's been the big talk of things. A lot of people have us taking Barmore from Alabama in the first round at pick number 17, which, as we've seen with the Washington football team, who have literally built their entire defensive front with like first round draft picks and so on the past like 3, 4, 5 years, I want to say. We got Sweet Sweat, however you pronounce his name, Allen Young now, and there's someone else I want to say, I can't remember. But anyways, they've proven, that's like the one thing in the NFC East that they can say with the Washington team is they've proven that they can go out and draft a D-line and build them into what they need to be in their 4-3, 3-4, nickel, dime, quarter, whatever. I personally don't think the Raiders should draft a D-tackle, D-lineman in the first round. I just don't. We've already got Clelin Ferrell, who I believe was a first-round pick 2 years ago now. And granted, he hasn't been impressive. He did miss some time this past season. But his numbers are improving, and I don't think he will be the premium pass rusher people are wanting him to be. I think he'll be more of your first, second down run stopper. Now, with that said, though, I mean, he's gotten a few sacks, some forced fumble. Like, he's not had a terrible start to his career. You just would want to see him on the field more. Whereas on the opposite end, Max Crosby has definitely come on as who can eventually be our premier pass rusher. I personally think he should have got Defensive Rookie of the Year because his stats compared to Nick Bosa were very similar. Only difference is the 49ers were a better team, and Bosa, that's a last name. Everyone knows his older brother Joey. But that's a discussion for a different day. I still feel like Mad Max Crosby got robbed of Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. But that's just me. I mean, for a fifth-round pick, I think he's having a solid career. He needs to do a little work on his pass rush a little bit more. But, I mean, that's easy for me to say because I haven't played defensive end since high school. So, but, I mean, compared to where our defense has been in the past, where it is now, I think our D-line's the best aspect between those two guys. And then Mo Hurst up the middle. Mo Hurst gives you a mixed bag. He's consistent. He's not going to dominate like Aaron Donald. But I feel like give them this offseason to have an actual offseason. Because if you think about it, those three guys have only been in the league for 2 or 3 years each. I want to say Mo Hurst has been around for about 3. 2019 would have been Crosby and Farrell's rookie years. And maybe I'll have to fact check myself on that. It's the only issue doing this with one person. I don't have a way to fact check anything. But those three guys alone have made a pretty decent up front D-line. And then with the added aspect of Carl Nassib, who could play outside linebacker and D lineman. And then we picked up Vic Beasley as well, who early in his career was a sack machine, but he's been proven to also be like a 3-4 D and linebacker. But it also does bring to question with guys like Tanner Muse and Javin White, what is our defense going to be? And I only say that because Bradley wants to play more aggressive defense, right? And we drafted Tanner Muse, who didn't see any play last year due to injury, and Javin White, who was a practice squad call-up, who got a little bit of action, but both guys can play, I feel like, outside linebacker and DB. So we got 2 guys on roster right now who can play probably safety and linebacker, and then 2 guys who can play outside linebacker DN. So we've been running, I feel like, a 4-3 with mixes of a 3-4, but now we have a defense where realistically we could do a 4-4 or a 3-4 and not lose anything because that extra outside linebacker can be on the ground or standing up. So it gives you more options. Because it also, and my thing is, especially Tanner Muse, I had high hopes for him. I thought he could be another Derek Brooks type in the fact of he can man up on someone like Lamar, keep pace with them, but also get turnovers and run aggressively in coverage. But that was just my opinion. I'm looking through my notes. Because, I mean, realistically, the only part of our defense that doesn't really need much, in my eye, is the secondary, right? Trayvon Mullen I feel like he's coming on strong. Damon Arnett, just got to keep him on the field. I know him and Ruggs and that little stunt where they liked a picture of Deshaun in a Raiders uniform, and people are like, he needs to mature, but like, whatever. Um, we picked up Daryl Worley at the end of the season. Nevin Lawson came back after suspension. And I don't think Worley and Lawson are bad per se. Nevin Lawson, I believe, proven he can line up on tight ends the year before last, and I'm not sure what he did this year. And then Jonathan Abram is a heat-seeking missile. Like, holy cow, he's going to be... Once he can work on his tackling technique a little bit, because there were some games where he would try and shoot in too fast and he'd miss some tackles. Once he works on that, I think he'll be crazy. And then honestly, as far as coverage goes, Eric Harris and Jeff Heath are good coverage. I feel like Eric Harris gives you a little bit more options in the run game. I guess Heath does too. I guess they're kind of the same build. And then Lamarcus Joyner. I know he got hurt, but I think with Lamarcus Joyner, something that is forgotten is he was a corner. He came to the league as a corner and has been playing safety since I believe he went to the Raiders. Because, ironically, being a Rams and Raiders fan, I was happy to see Lamarcus go from the Rams to the Raiders in free agency. Because, like, hey, one of my favorite DBs is staying with one of my teams. So I feel like the secondary they've improved upon. The D-line is getting there. It's just the linebackers, the middle of the field, the immediate run support that needs help. I know I'm not sponsored by Dr. Pepper, or Dr. Pepper, Diet Coke, but that would be awesome. So, and this goes back to, because I got on a tangent there, the draft. So people want us to draft a D tackle, Barmore from Alabama, like in the first round, 17th overall. I don't disagree, but I don't like it either. I think we should go linebacker. And I know, and this is going to sound crazy. Because I know, let me see where I have my notes. Because I know we put money into free agency and draft picks. So Raekwon McMillan is young. Nick Morrow is young. I say young. They're 24, 25. The average age of our linebacking core is like 26. And I know we have Nick Kwiatkowski. So my only issues is Nick Kwiatkowski never really started in the league. He's third, fourth year in. Most games he started in a single season was 8. We saw, what was his name? Corey Littleton. How could I forget the Ram turn Raider, Corey Littleton, who was probably the biggest linebacker free agency of last year. He's good. I think he's going to have to adjust to the scheme. Well, and here's the issue, is he'll have to adjust to the scheme. And then all of our D linemen will have to adjust to a new scheme. Hold on, let me turn that a little bit so it's not just directly. The thing is, D linemen, we've got guys that can be solid run stoppers, but also be heavy on pass rush. DBs, we have guys that can man up and play zone. Linebackers, we don't really have a type. You don't have the field general middle linebacker and the cover 2 safety or cover 2 outside. There's just not one particular type of linebacker that we have. We have this one guy who's good in coverage, the other guy who's a great pass rusher, this guy that's good run stop. It's all over the place. And I'm not trying to say the linebackers we have on roster are bad. I just think we either need to get someone that can play more of the hybrid role that Tanner Moose and Javin White could play, or we need to get someone who's like a true-to-heart linebacker that can play sideline to sideline. Because if you look at our linebacking core, you have Nassib and Beasley, who are like 3-4 DN linebackers. That's 2 guys there. You have Corey Littleton, who I personally think fits more of a run stopper type. He's not terrible in coverage. I just think he's more run stopping, pass rushing. Kwiatkowski, who I think there's a whole thing about him never having a career interception. He finally got one this year or something, where he got close to getting his first career interception. Not a big deal. I feel like he's probably the closest balanced linebacker we have. So that's 4 guys there. Raekwon McMillan, I need to see more of him in the scheme because like we traded Len Bowden Jr. to the Dolphins to acquire him, but he didn't play like super crazy early on. But that's just me. Excuse me. Yes. Also, Everett Solo Cup up there. That's to keep coins in, like these things in, till I can get something better for them. So I know people are going to see that. I'm like, what the heck? That's also the Jump Force statue right there. And then a Vegeta with some manga, and then death stuff up there. Because it throws me off because my camera's on this side of me. So that's why I'm like more on this side, and this is blank over here. But what was I saying? The draft. I think the Raiders, if he's there, Dylan Moses, he's the most NFL ready linebacker. And if they want more of an aggressive defense, I feel like he could play in the 3-4 or the 4-3, or go a hybrid route and honestly gamble and take Nick Bolton out of Missouri in the first round. Because just because of sizing alone, he's similar to Tanner and Javin White. Javin White. However you say his name. I've been saying Javin White. I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Basically, what I'm getting at is you take a linebacker that will either A, fit in with the hybrid linebacker safety position that they're kind of gearing towards, or go the route of traditional linebacker that can kind of cover the whole field, but also be aggressive and run defense. That's just my opinion. Like I said, I know they've put a lot of money into the linebackers, but the only one offhand that could currently start on roster right now that's been someone that we've been putting our time and effort into is Nick Morrow. Everyone else has been free agency. We don't have that linebacker that we've developed. Nick Morrow's the only starting caliber one I can think of that is someone that we brought on, like drafted or signed as UDFA to be on the roster to potentially start. And he's had a good couple 3 years. Let me double check myself. Sorry, I know like I'm really close to the camera. You'll see like part of my face, but roster. Let me actually look at the official website to see what they have some of these guys listed as. Or honestly, offensive linemen. We've had a lot of issues with O-line this past year. No one really knows what Trent Williams is going to do. So if I look at the Raiders website, they only have Kyle Wilbur, Nick Morrow, Raekwon McMillan, and Corey Littleton listed as linebackers. And then D-line, like, holy cow. Jonathan Hankins, Malik Collins, Kendall Vickers, Mo Hurst, Chris Smith, Carl Nassib, Arden Key, Max Crosby, Vic Beasley. Malik Collins is also like a quality, I think, D-tackle. He just... not sure what he needs to do. He needs to be healthy or something. I can't remember. I think he got hurt this past year. I could be wrong. But honestly, O-line, that is actually one position that we could need to definitely look into. I think our rookies this year on our O-line, here's the thing. Here's the weird thing with the Raiders, right? So our O-line, I thought was quality. Sorry, I'm trying to like bring it up so I can like follow along with like what's going on. But we had COVID issues, we had injury issues, we had all sorts of things with our O-line that I feel like, yes, we finished 8-8, and that's not amazing. But the way we were able to orchestrate and get in backup offensive linemen, like, was amazing. Like, I'm sorry, I think that's like one takeaway we can take away from this most recent season is we got to work on our defense. Our O-line's not as banged up, terrible, no depth as we thought it was. And then, you know what? I just thought of this as I said that. What time is it? We got about 5 minutes left. So here's my 5-minute rant. Like, legitimate rant. Derek Carr. My first name is his middle name. I have a Jim Mint 10 card of his brother, David Carr. Delson just meowed in the background and wants attention. Yes, buddy. Derek Carr. Why would we get rid of him? Okay, I realize you have two quarterbacks in the league. You have your Super Bowl winning, and you have your winning quarterback. Super Bowl winning being a Patrick Mahomes, winning quarterback being a Jared Goff. Sorry, that's just how I see it. Rams, I love you. Goff, we got to figure out what we're doing with you. Your contract is disgusting. Carr, I feel like he's in the middle because he's never really had weapons. And maybe he's also played a little conservatively, just a little. But this year, we saw him play aggressively. We saw Nelson Aguilar come on as a weapon, so now we just don't run the ball with Jacobs and pass to Waller or aim for Renfrow in the slot. And I feel like if we give Ruggs or Bryan Edwards some more time to be healthy and to develop, honestly, Aguilar on one side, either Ruggs or Renfrow in the slot, and Edwards on the outside on the other side, Waller at tight end, Jacobs in the backfield. That could be deadly. That could be a dangerous offense. And they can't forget old Alex Ingold, make fullbacks great again. He's solid. But Derek Carr, for most of his career, hasn't really had that crazy of weapons around him. But he's still put up quality seasons. And, people forget just 2-3 years ago before he got hurt, we all thought he was going to be league MVP with the way he was playing, And another thing to keep in mind is this year we went 8-8, but this is the first time since 2016 Derek Carr had 5 game-winning drives, fourth quarter comebacks this year. 5. Second most in his career since 2016. He's been in the league since 2014. So that means his 2014, 2015, his third year in the league, he was coming back down from God knows how many points and touchdowns and winning games. And here he is, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. Holy crap, I got my years mixed up. 4 years later, just doing the same thing. And I know people are like, well, that's just because the offense started slow. You could say that. But for me, it's like the defense wasn't there doing their job. They just weren't. They were giving up a lot of points. Because here's the thing. Defense wins championships. And the reason that... Say hi, Delson. The reason that that's a thing is because your offense can start slow. And that's fine as long as your defense can stop the other team from scoring. And that's been the issue with the Raiders, is if our offense starts slow, we don't have a defense that we can rely on. They'll be good for 1 or 2 drives, but they're not going to shut out a game. They're going to give up, instead of giving up a field goal, they'll give up a touchdown. Instead of bend but don't break, they'll snap in half. It's just, and the issue that makes it frustrating is people want to look at Carr and put the blame on Carr, but in reality, we have a really young defense with really talented players that now we've got to get them to play together as one cohesive unit. And I think people are just freaking out way too much about that. They just are. They want to put all the blame on Carr. He's the quarterback. But it's not him. So all you so-called Raiders fans that want to blame everything we've gone through the past 6-7 years on Carr, I just don't see it, right? Because Aguilar, for all intents and purposes, came over from the Eagles where he didn't really do anything crazy. He had one real solid year, and that was it. I got friends who are Eagles fans who are just like, get rid of the guy. We don't like him. He's not that great. So he comes to us, has one season, balls out, easily could be our number 1 receiver, and we need to re-sign him because him to Carr is a great connection, and now we just need Ruggs to stay healthy. Because the thing with Ruggs is, so I didn't want to draft Ruggs, right? I wanted them to pick up Justin Jefferson instead, which after watching how they played this year is upsetting to say the least because Jefferson balled out and Ruggs was hurt. But Ruggs also can be fast enough to beat the defenses, and there's times Carr overthrew him. So just think about all the times Carr overthrew Ruggs, and imagine if Ruggs had caught the ball, how different the season would be. Because got to keep in mind, the rookie class of this year had no off-season together. No, everything was digital. No training camp, nothing like that. The guys who this is their second year in the league, they've only had one training camp. So hopefully this year the Raiders can get back to having a traditional training camp or off-season, and we can see kind of what comes out of the camaraderie, people working together and what's going to happen. That's just my opinion. That's my opinion of the Raiders. Thank you guys. If you're stuck around or if you're going to check this out later, I'm going to try and splice this into 2 parts and put it on my YouTube page, which is on my Twitch profile link. First section be cards, second section be sports talk or me ranting about the Raiders for 30 minutes. My goal is to do this every Wednesday, and then once I kind of get things more refined, then it is to have guests on. But for now, this is going to kind of be the format, do a little card opening, card showcase, talking about collectibles, which we didn't really talk about collectibles today. We just kind of opened some packs, showed off some cool things I got, and then moved right into talking about the Raiders and whatnot. But I feel like going forward, this will be an hourly podcast once a week. I'll look into getting guests here on in a month or 2 once I can start reaching out to people and develop a portfolio of these. But, I'm really active. My Instagram, I post hits on and stuff. So a lot of these cards that, let me work this camera. A lot of these cards that you see back here will probably get pictures thrown up on the Instagram. I also have my TikTok page that I do little once card opening packs of. But yeah, my name's Dallas, aka Raiders fan. This has been my first live show. Eventually I want this to become a weekly stream podcasty kind of thing, but for now this is it. I've got a tip jar set up. Don't feel like you have to. Any money that goes towards that will go back into the channel as far as for pack openings or for equipment, because as it stands right now, I'm running everything through my phone and my iPad. Other than that, appreciate whoever stopped by. Appreciate you checking in. Hope to see you next week, and I hope everyone has a fantastic day and have a great week. See you all next week. Feel free to check me out on my other socials.